Yo, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in this video, we're going to continue on making our social media application by implementing features for the user profile and for the user to be able to modify and delete these feed posts right here. So basically, in this video, we are going to be completing the full CRUD operations. So create, read, update, and delete actions will all be implemented in this application. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to be implementing a profile button here in the nav bar. So we can just go into our nav bar, and within our nav bar, we'll be defining another button. And we can also actually modify this to say that if there is no session, then we will return the login button like that. But if the user is logged in, we'll just make another component right here. And we actually need to wrap this in a div. So we can just basically wrap it around a div like that. And then inside here, we can just define a link. And this is going to take the user to its profile. So we'll just type profile. And the href is going to be /profile. Like that, we can hit save right there. And now we can see that there is this profile button right here. And of course, we haven't implemented the route for it yet. So we can go here into our app and create a new route for our profile. Right profile right there. And a file inside page.tsx. And then we can just export default function. And this is actually going to be an async function. And it's just going to be like a profile page. Doesn't really matter what we name it. And then before we render the profile, we of course want to check the session. So we can just say that const session is going to be equal to await get server session with the auth options. Like that. And of course, if there is no session, we can return null. Or like log in to see profile, something like that. And if the session exists, we can just go here and return the profile. And we can just define an h1 that says welcome. And then we have to put the name right here. And in order to get the name, we of course have to get the user first. And we can actually get the user's name from this session right here. So we can just basically say that session.user. And we actually don't define the name. Let's just say the email right there. That's going to be fine. And now when we hit save on that, and we can refresh here, and then we can navigate here into our profile. Boom, there we go. We have a profile view right there. And of course, if you try to access this, let's say from an incognito, we can just put like that. And you guys can see it's fully secured. Now, in our profile, we of course want to fetch and view all the posts that the user has. So we can just define another h1 and say that like your posts. And in order to get those posts, we have to make a request to our data here. So inside our data file, we can actually put here as well at the no store. But here we can just export an async function that's called get users posts. And this doesn't take any parameters. We can also put here that it is a no store and a try catch method. And if there's an error, we can just console log it as well, like that. But overall, we can just const the result is await prisma.feedPost.find many, because the user might have many posts. And then of course we'll just take the ID now where the user ID is going to be the same as the session user ID. So we can just retrieve the session and it is going to be again await get server session with the auth options. And here, if there is no session, we can just again select throw a new error, log in to continue, something like that. And then here we actually don't have the user ID, but as we defined the user email to be unique, we can just say that email is going to be equal to session.user.email. And here we actually have to define as well that if there is no session.user like that, on top of that, a session.user.email. Boom, there we go. Now we have no errors, and we can just return this result. And we can just return this as a list of feed posts. So feed posts and a list. There we go. Now we can just hit save on that. And then we can go here back into our profile page. And we can here as well add the check for the session.user and of course the session.user.email because we want those to exist. And then we can just say that the posts, we can just fetch them, and it's going to be await get user posts. There we go. And here we can just say that if the user posts, if posts, and if there are posts and the posts dot length is greater than 0, then we can return them. If there is no posts, we can just return something like, oh, let's just put there a div. It's going to be inside a div right here. But here we of course want the p tag with no posts. And then here inside our posts, we can just basically loop through them. And we of course here want to define that posts.map. And for each post, we are going to be returning the div. And then inside this div right here, we need to have a key, which is going to be the post.id. There we go. And now we can just define some data for the posts. So let's say like h1 is going to be the post.description. So that's going to be the post.description, and then we can just you guys can put whatever data you want to show here, but we can even just like show the like likes count, for example. Likes. There we go. Now we can hit save on that. And now we are on the home page, as you guys can see. And now we can just go here into our profile, click here, and refresh the page. So Next.js builds the page again. And now we can see that there are these two posts. Of course, we could put some styling right here. So for example, some margin between each of the posts and some padding. We can say that the background is going to be white and it's going to be rounded. Excel. There we go. Now when we hit save on that, and of course we want the text to be black. Yeah, there we go. And here we can even define that if there is no likes count, we can just say that it says 0. Boom, there we go. So now we have these two posts right here. And this is basically the profile view right here. Of course, there could be some other data shown as well here. But now when our application only consists of these posts and adding them, this is basically the best we can do. But now we can add functionality to delete these posts and modify them. So first, let's implement functionality for modifying each of these posts. And to modify each post, we can go here into our profile folder, and let's create a new folder called modify post, like that. And then after this modify post, we will say in brackets the post ID. There we go. And now inside this post ID folder, we can create a page.tsx file. And here again, we can just export default async function. And this async function, it's just going to be called modify post. And this is actually going to be taking the params, and it's going to be type of any. And then right here, we'll just return the header, modify post. And then here as well, we will need to be implementing this one right here. So a user needs to be logged in order to continue right here. And then we, of course, want to fetch the post. So in order to do that, again, we need to go here into our data file and make a function to fetch a single post. So we can just export async function, and this is going to be get post by ID. And this is, of course, going to be taking the post ID, which is going to be a string inside of it. And it's also going to be a no store. And we will wrap it around a try catch method right here. And if there's an error, we'll just console log it. And again, we can just say the const result is going to be equal to await prisma.feedPost.findUnique. And this find unique is going to be where the ID is going to be the post ID. And then we can just again return res like that. And of course, now it's just going to be a feed post. And now we can just hit save on that. And then we can go here into our profile, and we can just say that the post is going to be equal to await get post by ID. And this post ID is going to be params.postID. And now, of course, what we want is that only the user that has added the post has access to this modify page. We can do that by going here back into our data file. And inside our data file, we'll just say that include the user. And here inside the user, we'll just select the email and set it to be true. There we go. And now we can just go back here into our modify post page, and we can say that if the post dot we actually need to modify this, so we'll just return the result not as a feed post. So we'll just do that, and then we can just go here and user dot email. And if this is going to be different from session.user.email, then we will return that you are not authorized to modify. And of course, we can just say here that if there is no post, that there is a no post found. And then we can just fix that. And then right here, we'll need to implement the form to actually modify the post. But before we do that, we'll just go back here into our root profile, and inside each of these posts, we'll create a link that says modify post, and then we'll just go and put the href, which is going to be, of course, profile slash modify post slash, and then we will need to provide the post ID right here. So the post ID, this is the route that will take us to the specific post. And now to confirm that this actually works, and we can just go here and modify this post. And inside here, we'll just click that post.description, for example, right there. And now we can just, let's modify this something, for example. Yeah, so there we go. It fetches the data correctly. And as you guys can see, here is the URL that we're accessing right now. And now, of course, in order to modify this, we will need to create a form that modifies the post. And to use server actions to modify this post, we'll actually go here into our UI and create a new file called modify post form.tsx. And this is actually going to be very similar to this one. So we can just basically copy this content right here. And of course, we will not be needing the add feed post function right here. We'll be changing that. And then we can just say here that the button is going to be like save. Let's just say save. Yeah. And then we will have to fix this one right here. So let's just remove that. And of course, let's change the name of this to be modify. Let's say modify post form. Now we can hit save on that. And then we can go back here into our post ID. And inside here, we need to render the modify post form. And then we can just hit save on that. And as you guys can see, we get the error because we haven't defined the function right here. So what we need to do, let's just close that for a second. And what we need to do is that we need to go inside our actions, of course. And here inside our actions, we can basically, again, just copy this add feed post function, go here and change this to be modify feed post. And here we do the same checkings as usual, but instead of creating the feed post, we actually want to update it. So let's just click here that update, and this is going to be where ID. And now we of course want to provide the post ID here in our params, and this is going to be post ID, and then the data, we're just going to be replacing the description with the description in this function, and then revalidate the path. There we go. Now we can just hit save here, and now we will need to go here into our modify post form file and just click here that modify feed post. And as we do need to pass in the ID, we can just go here and say that the post ID is going to be a string that we provide for this component, and it's going to be post ID, and it's going to be a string. There we go. And now, because we want to access that feed post, we'll just need to bind this function and provide the post ID with it. There we go. Now just hit save right there. And then back here in our modify post form, we of course have to provide the post ID, which can be retrieved from the post.id. There we go. Now we can hit save on that. And of course, get back here into our project. And here inside our project, we can just go home. We can just refresh this to be sure that everything has been updated here, and then we can go here inside our profile, and then we can just go here and modify this post. And now this post says that welcome back, and we can just say that like welcome back again, bro. And then we can just hit save right there, and as you guys can see, it changes immediately. And even if we go here into our main feed, we can see that it has been updated right here. Boom. So basically that's it for the modifying part. Now we of course want to implement the deleting functionality as well. And to do that, we need to go here into our profile again. So right here, and inside our profile, we need to provide a button. So this is basically here in our profile. And we need to define a button for deleting each of these posts. And to do that, we need to go here into our UI folder and delete post button.tsx. Let's create that and export a default function. And this is actually going to be a client-side component. So here at the top, we need to define that it's going to use the client, and then delete post button. And this is going to be taking some props. We'll define those right here. So it's going to be an interface. Let's just say it's going to be props, and it's at least going to be taking a delete post function. And on top of that, it's also going to be taking the post ID. and that's going to be a string like that. And then this delete function is going to take the post ID as a parameter, and it's going to be just returning a void. Let's do it like that. And then right here, we'll just need to provide the post ID and the delete post functions, and those are going to be type props. And then we can just go here and return a button that says delete post. And then here, this button is going to take an onClick function, and we'll just call it handle click. So let's just go here, handle click, and this is going to be an async function, and it's just going to be a try catch method, and if there is an error, we'll just console log it like that. And now here we can just go and handle the click, and inside this handle click, we'll just await delete post, and it's going to take the post ID as the parameter. And this right here is actually going to be a promise of a void. There we go. Now this is basically implemented, and then we can go back here into our profile and render the delete post button. And inside of these delete post buttons, we just need to provide the post ID, which is of course going to be the post.id in this case. And then we also need to provide the delete post functionality. And to do this functionality, we'll go here inside our actions file and create a new function, which is going to be an export async function. And it's going to be called a delete post. And this is, of course, going to be taking the post ID, which is going to be a string. And then right here, we'll just call the try catch method. And again, if there's an error, we'll just console log it, and at the end, we will revalidate the path. And then right here, we can just actually do some copy and pasting basically. So we can just check the session right here. After we have checked the session, we can now go and retrieve the post. So basically, the post is going to be await prisma.feedPost.findUnique, where the ID is going to be the post ID. And again, if there is no post, there is nothing we can delete. So we'll just throw an error like this, and no post found. But if there is a post, we'll actually check that if the user trying to delete the post is the same user that has updated the post. And then we can just go here and put another if clause that checks if the post. And now here we of course want to include the user again. So user, and then we need to select again the email, as we use the user's email to check this is true. So now we can just say that if the post.user.email is different than the session.user.email, then we need to again throw new error. And this error is going to say that you not authorized. There we go. But if these are all fine, then we can just await prisma.feedPost.delete, and where the ID is going to be equal to the post ID. There we go. So this is basically the function, and we can hit save on that. And the last thing we need to do is go here into our profile and pass it here as a prop. So we can just go here and import this delete post function. There we go. Okay, and then you guys just need to refresh the page. And we got an error right there, but it fixed itself when we refresh the page. So now we have this error button right here. We can actually just put a class name and background red 300. And let's also put some padding into it and some margin. There we go. So now the delete post is going to be with red. And we can even go here and say that if window.confirm, let's say that like confirm delete. And if the user does not confirm the delete, we'll just return return this function. There we go. So now let's just hit refresh again. And now we have these two posts right here, but here in the user profile, we can modify them. And now we can just try to remove, for example, this post right here. And we have this message that do we want to confirm the delete? And let's just say that yes, we want to confirm the delete. And as you guys can see, it's gone. And we can even go here into our home page and refresh this. And all the changes have been implemented immediately. And yeah, this is basically it for this video. And so in this video, you guys learned how to implement update and delete functionality, and we even created this profile view page for each user on the social media application that they can use to view their own posts and delete and modify them. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, comment down below what kind of content you want to see next. But this is it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!